Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Are you ready to level up your team skill development? Well, Ballology is here to support you in driving accountability and skill development. The Ballology app is more than just tracking. It's a resource for enhancing skills, knowledge, and mindset across your program. Join coaches all across the country using Ballology to simplify training and empower your athletes. Let's build consistency, accountability, and skill development together.
One of my favorite things to do is to get to learn about other programs, other coaches, their standards and pillars. Some people call that culture, but standards and pillars, we all have them. And that's actually a big reason why I started doing this is I was talking with a girls coach years ago during the pandemic over Zoom. We were talking shooting, but then we got into a little bit of how some of the things that she does to build up the culture in her program. And I thought, this is fantastic. Like, I would never know this about her if we didn't have this talk. So this is one of my favorite things to go into. So Coach, love to hear the standards and pillars of your program.
Absolutely. We do things in three here at St. Marcus, so we have our core values, and our core values, integrity, accountability, and unity. And starts with integrity, right? We want good people first, good men. If you're coaching women's basketball, good women in your program. Yeah. That's ultimately more important. I know you know this, Coach, because you do it, but we're 30-year coaches, 40-year coaches, 50-year coaches. It's about them when they become adults, even more than when they're with us when they're high school players. So, we stress integrity, and that's why our next core value is accountability. We need to be accountable for our actions. And then the unity component is so important in team sports. In basketball, we got to be together with our goals. So, that's where it starts. When I was at LeTourneau University, we had 5 core values, and that worked. One thing I did down here, we're always examining what's working and what's not as coaches, right? That's, you never stop learning, growth mindset. So what I find is, especially with these high school kids, less is more. And so those are our 3 core values. Because when I got here, the first year we had 5, and often in practice, we'd ask the guys, what's our core values? And they'd get maybe 3 or 4 of them. But now I really believe that they absolutely know they'll rattle them off. I got the guys right out there probably changing after practice here, and they'll tell you accountability, integrity, unity. So it starts with that. And then next is just to go with that philosophy. We used to have something when I was at LeTourneau. We had our pillars of play on offense, and then our pillars of play on defense that we had in our locker room. And then that worked, and I liked it. But one thing we did is we simplified it. We want the kids to really know it, embrace it, have ownership in it. So a year ago, we had a meeting with the guys, and we just talked with them about like what it looks like. So we came up with these 3 things, and we got some very nice graphics this summer. I love our hallway now. And we have our core values as one nice graphic. Another one that we have is how we play. And the first thing we say is we have to have Houston intensity, U of H. We have all 3 of them related to college. So U of H intensity, and we all know how they play. They play relentless. Yeah. On the boards, defense, effort. You watch their practices, we're fortunate enough to be at their practice, and it is all effort. So our intensity is U of H intensity. And then the second thing is we want UConn ball movement. And, I would love to have those actions, that Coach Hurley runs, and, you watch them and it's amazing, how they have so many actions. But at the end of the day, they're moving and whipping that ball around. And that's how you find a great shot, right? Good to great. So we want UConn ball movement. And I know you're going to like our third one, because our third one is Baylor. It's Baylor talk. Baylor talk, because, when they won the national championship years back, they always impressed me. And Coach, because you played, they do such a great job of talking and communicating, and they're so connected, the Baylor program. So those are our 3 things to play. And it's just real simple. U of H intensity, UConn ball movement, and Baylor talk and communication. So that's the first where it starts. I believe, our programs are like a house, right? You got to have the foundation first. So we really are stressing these things and to understand what that is, and teaching them those 3 things right there, how we play. And then we build it up, of course, with our style of play.
And a lot to unpack right there. And I love the fact that you have core values for what people would say more is like your culture, with how you're going to be as a team, how you're going to show up every day with integrity, accountability, and unity. But then you have another set that goes along with your play. I've noticed that sometimes coaches will blend the two, or their culture really is all about their style of play, but doesn't really apply to maybe how are we going to talk to each other in the locker room?
Right.
How are we going to react when we lose? So like you and I think love fast basketball. If fast basketball was a part of our foundational piece, how does that really relate to when, a player gets in trouble? And how are we going to handle this as a team? So I love those three that you have. It made me think of, I was reading, what's Joe Ehrman's book, Inside Out Coaching. And because you said we're coaching for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it made me think that a guy would ask him, hey, how's your team going to be? And he would answer, he'd say, I'll tell you in 20 years.
Right.
Meaning, like, what kind of men are they going to become? Coach, like, I've thought about trying that. And I said it one time, but I think I delivered it almost like I don't know, like kind of snarky. I was like, man, I'll tell you in 20 years. And he kind of went like this. Like, I was like, no. Listen, I think we'll be good, but this is what I meant.
Right.
Love that. And then connecting it to the colleges, such a cool thing, because to me, it just makes it more real and alive, and something a program that they've watched that they can actually point to. A lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate that. And I love that too, is to tell you in 20 years. And you said that in a parent meeting right off the bat, that I could see them being a little bit like, huh? But then when you explain it, I think the parents are actually going to like that more. And that's the thing too, Coach, the 20, 30 years, I've been doing this a while now. And there's nothing better than when they come back to you and they're like, man, Coach, that stuff you were saying, or those core values or whatever, we use them now in our life as a parent, or in my job, in my work, or as a coach. We have a lot of guys who now are in the coaching business who played in our program. So I love that part of coach. That's probably my favorite part. I love basketball. I eat, sleep, and breathe it like I love it, live it. But as far as them growing into young men, that's my absolute favorite part.
When you were starting out, was that the thing that you were really focused on, or was it the X's and O's piece, and over time it became them?
Man, Coach, what a great question. So I was fortunate enough to grow up in Wisconsin in the 90s, and we had excellent coaches up there. Dick Bennett was the coach at Wisconsin Green Bay. When I graduated high school in 1993, I went to his basketball camps. We had Bo Ryan, who was a coach at Platteville. Both of them went on to be the Wisconsin Badger coach. And so I attended their basketball camps, and I just loved basketball, and I knew I wanted to do something in basketball. So when I was fortunate enough at a young age to get some jobs and move up, I was assistant at D2, and I got my first head coaching job. I think I was 29 at Katy Seven Lakes. And at 29, I'm 49 now, 20 years ago, I was consumed with winning. I was consumed with the X's and O's. I was a basketball junkie. I know that I did stress. I always stressed, let's be disciplined. Let's be good people. Let's put others first. But as you grow, and I know this and the audience listening, but as you grow as a coach, you get perspective on things. You never stop chasing winning. We're all competitive if we've been doing this a while, right? We all want to win on Friday nights, Tuesday nights, whenever. But also, you start to see things and you put more of an emphasis, and I have put more of an emphasis on this growing the young men through our core values and just accountability factor. So yeah, I definitely have grown as a coach there. It'd be interesting to see sometime, and I still talk to kids who played on those teams, and they'd make jokes. I was very disciplined back then, but I was laser focused on some things. Maybe now that right now I focus on some other things with coaching the guys.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I feel the same way. I think when starting out at Faith, and I inherited a really good group that first year, and they took this kind of pressing, running and gunning and shooting three style that me and Wes Watson were doing at McKinney. I just basically duplicated that system, brought it over here.
Right.
And luckily they bought into it and ran with it, averaged 82 points a game, won a lot of games. So at the end of that first year, I thought, okay, this is a system that can work anywhere in any year. Doesn't matter what the kids are. Like I don't think I gave those players enough credit. And then I thought, man, if I start doing the math here, like if I do this for 40 years, I'm going to be up there. I'm going to be thinking that every year was going to be like that. And then it's a couple humbling seasons of some losing, some parents and maybe players not being all about what I was promoting and doing. And then I think it's also like what Rick Corbett said. He said it takes you 10 years to really to become the head coach you're going to be, like to learn really who you are. And looking back over that, like assistant is different. Like a lot of learning in those years, but almost like starting square one, year one. And then, about 10 years in, I started to realize, man, what's really important? And kind of like what Gannon Baker said, it's the living trophies. It's not the trophies that are sitting in our case that have some names on it I don't even know before me. And when I leave here one day, that people won't even care about our names, but living trophies. And I'm rambling a little bit, but one thing social media wise, I always try to find new things to do and trying to keep it fresh. And I started this living trophies kind of theme where go back to year one and I asked them to send me a picture of them and their family now. If they're single, at least them, maybe a pet, a girlfriend, or if they have a family. I took that picture and I put it next to their playing picture and started once a week putting those out as a living trophies. And hopefully the idea is that I think when we do that, it's not just for other people to see it, but just a reminder to me about what's most important.
Right. Absolutely, Coach. I love that. That's a great idea right there. I like that. And that is why we do it. We love the game. We love everything about it, but keep in perspective of that living trophy. And we're going to go through adversities too, right? And it's not all roses all the time. And that could be adversity with your team and losing, but it also could be adversity with these kids going through problems at home or losing a loved one or, having cancer or something, that we have to be there for them. And even if we're not there physically, they can remember some of the advice and coaching that we did. Because ultimately we're coaching people, not just coaching basketball. We're teaching basketball, we're coaching people. So important.
And those are the coaching paychecks that you get years later. Because all of us know it's not for the money right now. Right. So the coaching paychecks we get are the ones where, whether it's a kid that was maybe always seemed to be fighting a little bit of the culture or what we were selling, didn't really seem like he was on board. But then you get that text from that says, you know what, like I'm 24, I get it. Like I understand. Yeah. So that's the idea of us planting seeds and just watering. And we might not get to see the fruit, but we got to stay faithful in that.
Absolutely. 100% agree, Coach. Love that.
And I love the fact that, again, with your three, because you just mentioned a lot of things that teams and players will go through most likely each year. If your culture is just about X's and O's and how to execute there, then I think there's going to be an empty feeling. Like our programs have to have an overarching theme that is bigger than basketball, or else I don't know. I think players see through that a little bit. Yeah. So I think your integrity, accountability, unity, man, what a great way to start off.
Right. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. I agree 100%.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.